Okay, so I've taken the valve cover off, and now I'm going to be checking my valve shims to make sure that I have enough clearance. So obviously the valve cover's off, but I've also come around to the other side of the bike. I'm taking the right side cover off as well. That's it actually looks pretty rusty on the camera, but in person it doesn't look bad at all. Looks great. I like to support that with kind of a bucket or something. I guess you could let it hang loose. I don't know. I just don't like the idea of wires under stress when they don't need to be and weren't designed for it. So you're going to want to take a 17mm box wrench and just kind of get that, because that's what you're going to use to turn the engine over. And I'm going to start by putting this in first cylinder into top dead center at the compression stroke. And what I need in order to do that is to get these and these facing away from each other. There's also a little mark that'll show you that. I'll do that. I'll get that set up and show you that in a second. Alright, so I went ahead and I turned the bolt over there. You always want to crank it forwards. I don't want to turn the engine over backwards. And you'll see these here are aligned. A little bit of focus there. And you'll see that the lobes pointing out and pointing out. My cam chain needs a little, is probably a little loose, so they're not 100% exactly flat. I don't know if you can kind of pick that up or not, but they should be ideally. But the key here is that the lobes are facing out there and out there. I need a new A cam chain, and I know that, and it's probably the next time I take the engine out, that's one of my jobs. Next thing I want to do is take one of my shims from my feeler gauge, looking for a 0.00, you want to be at 0.005, so I'm just kind of looking for what I have here. So trying with 0.003, seeing if I can get in there. Lots of room, lots of room, lots of room, and lots of room. Might be too much room actually. So trying with 0.6, I don't have a 0.5, I really need to get one. No, 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 and no, actually, so that means I'm pretty much perfect on my first one here. So that's, this is your intake camshaft, because it's coming from the carbs towards that camshaft. This is your exhaust camshaft, because it's right by your headers. That's where the exhaust gases go. So next, you got to keep cranking that, turning that bolt over on this side, and then working your way through these valves. I'll film the next, but then you guys should be good from there. Alright, so I went ahead and turned the bolt again to turn over the engine. Well, actually, before I did that, I rechecked the torque settings on all of these, because I have installed the head a little while ago, and thankfully I'm still perfectly on at about 27 foot-pounds, which is fantastic. So, and then after I did that, I redid these. Came up with the same readings. Then I went ahead and turned that nut. And now, as you can see, these are pretty much at straight up and down. And this here and here, and then it's kind of hard to see, are sticking out. So I'll go ahead and take the readings again. I have my shim tool. So my 4 slides in there, or not my shim tool, my feeler gauge. It slides in no problem. And my 0.006, which is this one, no, no. And oh, I'm getting in there, lots of room. That's not good. And in there. So that one has lots of room. I'll see if I can get a 0.08. in there. No, not a 0.08. Well, so since I can't get a 0.08, I'll try that again. No. Double check that 0.06 just to make sure. Yeah, it's in there, no problem, I'd say. So it's either at 0.06 or yeah, 0.006 or at 0.007, which isn't terrible, but I'd like to at least pull the shim and see what kind of shim I have in there. All right, that'll be up next. All right, so went ahead and got my Motion Pro shim bucket depressor. When I first got this thing, I was kind of wondering how this little tiny flimsy tool was going to lift that cam up, considering how secured down it is. But it's not what it does. And that's actually kind of stupid of me. There's little buckets right in here, and all this does is slide in there and kind of depress those buckets down. So what you want to do is get that in there. So just take this, get it in there, just like that. You want to try to make it as centered as possible so you get both buckets down, and then just ease it in. And then there. And it's really difficult to see in there, but those buckets are pressed down. Now I've got to get my tweezers and a, let's see if I can get a little more light. Gotta get my tweezers. Yeah, it's not really focusing well. But anyways, they're buckets and they're pressed down. You'll know when you see it. So, gotta get my tweezers and some little tiny pliers, and I'll be able to get that shim out. Oh, and whenever you do have shims out, never ever turn the crank. Always put at least a quarter in if you don't have a spare shim. Alright, so I've been working my way through, no major issues. Now I'm on number 4, and I found that the shim on this one only ended up being at 0.002, which is really too tight. So I need to get the shim out of there. Now, you should be able to see and make out kind of these little guys here. There's kind of a little indent, and you can kind of, if I touch it with my finger, you can see it moving. I'm just going to move it back and forth there. You want that facing out, because that's the that allows you to grab the shim much more easily. So again, my Motion Pro bucket depressor, kind of get in there and try not to. Sometimes it's good to start them with the indents that will cut it a little off to the side, because the bucket depressor turns them a little bit. And this is a little bit better view. You can see the bucket's kind of going down. Oh, now I've lost access to the hole, so turn it out a little more. Turn that hole even more. Turned it too much. Alright, you guys get the point.